Let your eyes close. So just sit for a couple minutes and listen to your breath. Listen to what breathing in and out through the nose is like for you. Because whatever you've done all day has affected you in some ways, and even stuff you did before today, but we'll worry about today. What is your breath like now? And as you start to become aware of your breath, let the inhale be long, or complete, as in full lung. Let the exhale be complete, soft. And ask yourself, whose breath is this? Whose breath is stressed, anxious, soft, quick, hard? Because when we get into the yoga practice, not just in the asana to shape the body and move the muscle and change the nerve, but as we do it, we become aware, not just aware of the muscle and the nerve and the bone. But there's a awareness that starts to percolate and happen that gets us to ask questions. Why is my body like this? Why does my hip hurt? Why is my back tight? Why is your breath stressed? Why is your breath short? Because you've been the one living and doing with your body all day. So is your breath showing you who you've really been all day? Even though you may not have noticed it, your breath is nervous, anxious, happy. Even though you might not have felt those things, your breath won't lie to you. That awareness that yoga gives you, as they say, is kind of like an unbiased truth to what you're going through, what you have gone through, and ultimately empowerment to choose what you go through after that to a degree, or how you at least choose to act as you go through things. Because yoga is not just here to fix you. It's not here to tell you what you're doing is right or wrong. But it does ask you to do. Not just on your mat, but off your mat. It's asking you to be aware of what's going on to you and then to do with it, with your knowledge, something different. Yoga was not given to a perfect world. Yoga was created because of the imperfections of the world. Yoga is not done by perfect people, the most flexible, the healthiest, the strongest. It's done by all of us. So just as we get into the asana to work on ourselves, let your yoga get off your mat a little bit. Let the peace you feel, let the health you feel, let you act upon that in the world in some other ways other than just on your body. Kind words, charitable work. Right. Back in India, the ashrams always had the soup kitchens. So act, my friends, even in the smallest ways, so that your work gets off your mat and you work on not just yourself here in this practice, but you work on the world and you complete the work of yoga. You complete awareness of what's happening to you, around you, and ultimately your practice becomes not a hamstring stretch, but a way of acting, being, and doing. Bring the palms together at the chest. Let the thumbs touch the sternum. Blow them shortly 3 times. And we'll begin. Take a breath. Om. Shoulders down, spine lifted. Om. Legs engaged slightly to push into the feet into the floor. Om. Bow your head. Salute the essence of yoga inside yourself. Bring your palms into the lap. Let the head rise and the eyes open. All right, great. So nice to see everybody whose internet didn't crash out or didn't take the moment to run away. Let's come to a standing position. Let's do some yoga work. Stand in Tadasana, please. Tadasana, thighs together, feet together, heels touching if you can. Rotate the upper thigh internally so the outer thigh rolls towards the inner thigh as you squeeze the calves towards each other. Push down through the feet and let your thighs move back slightly so you feel the buttock and pelvis lift. The overtuck of the tailbone can lead to an over-flattening of the lumbar, removing the ability of the spine to move backwards, especially in the upper middle back. Take both palms and turn them to face back behind you. Have you lifting your arms in there? Like I don't teach for 1 week and you're all like ready to go do your own thing. Be patient. Move your hands back behind your hips about 3 inches, 4 inches, and then spread your fingers wide and stretch the pinkies away from the palm, stretch the thumbs away from the palm so that you're extending through those digits just as much as you're extending the forearm away from the elbow, the shoulder away from the palm, back and down. So you feel the broadening of the chest. Draw the shoulders down away from the neck and let the neck lift tall. So you're completing the extensionary action of the pose. Palms are flat, spreading wide. Turn the palms in to face the legs, but still spreading the thumb and pinky away from the palm. As you do that, there's a broadness in the palm and in the wrist. Bring the hand, still keeping the shoulders and chest open and wide, not puffing your chest out, right? We're not squeezing the shoulders together for a backward bend, but you're extending the shoulders away from the neck and down. And let the hands come in just alongside your hips so they're not back behind you, but middle fingers roughly in line with the middle of your thigh. Notice that openness across the upper chest back. Take a deep breath into that. Keep the spine lifted as the arms keep extending down. And then pick up your right knee in front of you, knee about the height of your head. And then notice what changes in the upper chest and back, how much one shoulder wants to come up or the other one wants to tilt or come down. And can you keep that extended lift at thigh level? Feel your left leg for a moment. Be very aware of where it is. Is it still rotating in? Is it still squeezing the calf towards center? Bring your right leg down and then reset. Pick your left leg up in front of you. Open up across the chest. Right thigh is still moving back to feel the buttock lift. Because even though you're one-legged, doesn't mean your back flattens to hold so your spine weight comes down. Your legs are still lifting your hips. Your spine is still rising up. The outer body, the outer sheath of arm, moves around the rib cage. If you get really tight, it all climbs up here. Pull it down. Bring leg down. Excuse me. Step nice and wide, 3.5 to 4 foot apart, please. We'll warm up for it with a few poses that we know to get some rotation movement to the hips. And then we'll move on. Turn your right toes out to the right. Arms out wide, Virabhadrasana 2. Bend the right knee, stretching the thigh out above the heel. Now, when you've taken your knee into the pose and you think you're there, look out over your right arm, but then check in with your chest in the shoulders. Even though the shoulders are extended, did they lift up? Can you still pull your shoulders down and wide, just like when your hands were down here, right? In Tadasana, the broadness of the chest you felt, the length of your neck you felt. Can you still keep that and then stretch the arms out? So stay in Warrior 2. Take your hands down just behind your hips. Turn your palms to face behind you. Spread your fingers, especially the index and, or not the index, the pinky and the thumb. Spread those away from the palm. Stretch the forearm away from the elbow, arm away from the shoulder, not back, down. So slide your right hand along, back of your right hand along your right thigh. Down towards the floor, not in towards your tailbone. Down and wide. And now feel that openness. Try to create it on both sides. And then just float your arms out while still opening here. There you go. It's not just a lackadaisical lifting on the joint, but as you open that chest and you keep that extension, you ask the back shoulder blades to do deeper work. If you start with your shoulders lifted and try to push them down, all you do is grip in your lower neck. So ask the front muscles of the body to do the extending opening. Straighten the right leg, turn the toes in, turn the left toes out. Bend the left knee. Take the hands down back behind you so your hands are in line with your shoulders. The back of your hand is touching the back of your legs. Spread your pinky and thumb away from the hand. Stretch the forearm away, stretch the bicep away. So it's pulling wide and down. There's a length happening here on the limb to open up across the chest. So your head lifts. Remember, the spine rises up. And then when you feel like you've got the arms lengthened, you feel like you've got the head lifted, keep those two actions true. And then just lift and float the arms out, keeping all that length to it. Don't crunch, lift, and then try to fight the crunch. This frustrates you. Good. Left knee is nice and bent, stretching through the thighs. Head is ascending because that's part of your spine, right? The base of the neck is part of the spine. Straighten your left leg, turn the left toes in. Turn your right toes out. Turn your left toes in more. Rotate the hips around towards Warrior 1, but before you take the arms, rotate the left pelvis around, stretching through that left heel. Hands alongside your body, palms facing back behind you again. Move your hands just slightly behind the shoulders. So it's not here in line, it's not way back here, just a little back, just enough to feel the chest muscle flex. Spread the pinky thumb, drag it down. So if I were to grab them and pull them down, so the shoulder has to drop. Lift your head up away from that drop. Take both arms wide, keeping that space. Keep that flexion of the chest so that back muscle works. Lift the arms up so the chest lifts, sides lift, back lifts, and don't bring your head down. Always keep the head extended. Let the arms match your spine. Now bend your right knee, but don't let your spine come down. Don't let your arms come down. The bend of the knee is the last movement. Let there be extension and then flexion. Because extension first guarantees the pose is about opening. Flexion is then building strength and endurance into that space. Do not try to overcompensate with power in everything you do. Straighten your right leg. Roll that left hip forward. Bring the hands down again. Let's do that again because I sensed a great disturbance in the force. There might not have been complete understanding. So again, spread the pinky and the thumb away from the palm. Drag those digits down. Drag that arm down. Lift the head up against. Notice how your head wants to come down when you push your shoulder down, like this is going to help. Keep that long and lifted. Then when your arms are engaged, you feel that chest open. You feel this spread here. Take a deep breath into it. Then stretch your arms wide and lift them all the way up. And don't let your head come down. Be very aware of how you want to make your head, neck, shoulders, chest lift your arms. Excuse me. Woo! All right. So as you lift up, you feel the lift of the spine. You will feel a curve to the back. This is correct. Bend the right knee, keeping that lifted curve of the spine. And now move your head back farther, keeping the neck long. And then move the upper body back with it. Stretching your arms longer, now back towards the world behind you. So you start to create the bending, flexed action of your spine. Bend your right knee, Shubha. Everybody bend your right knee. Do not be afraid of your leg bending. Don't be afraid of your strength or endurance. If you come out of the pose, right, you just come out of the pose. Doesn't mean you didn't try. Bring your body up to neutral. Bring your arms down. Straighten your front leg. Turn your right toes in. Turn your right toes in deeper. Turn your left toes out. Rotate the right hip around. Arms down alongside. Palms facing back behind you. I have you turn your palms back behind you because when your palms are just facing in, it's easy to only work from the chest muscles right here, the pec minor and the trapezius muscles. When you turn your palms behind you, notice your bicep flexes a little bit, your tricep muscles flex. But just for a testing moment, turn your palms towards the leg and try and pull down, stretch it down and see what happens. There's a grip in here. Here's a grip, these mastoid muscles. Not great. Turn your palms back. Spread the fingers wide, stretch the arm down, lift the head up, lift the spine up, lift your neck up, let the neck become uncompressed. Then take both arms wide and up, keep that openness, keep that lift. Don't allow yourself to go into the old habit. Bend the left knee, stretch that thigh out, but don't lose any of this height. Notice the ease at which we want to let our head and neck come down. Take a breath. Bring the arms down, straighten the left leg. Rotate the hips forward again. Work through your legs. Extend from thigh down to heel on each leg. Palms back. Stretch the fingers down. Remember, this is not lifting your hands up. This is not a shoulder thing. This is about extension. If I was here holding Tristan's arms down and she was lifting her chest and neck against that, it's the work. Take the arms up once you've got that openness, when you've got the chest engaged. Don't let this close. Don't let this lift. Don't let your neck come down. Always lift the spine. And then bend the left knee, letting the hips come down, but your spine and arms stay up there. And then lean the head back, looking up by leaning the head back, keeping the neck long. And then move the arms back. Stretch your arms away from your ribs, up and back to create the backward bend. The natural body shape is that. The human spine is meant to bend this way. We lose this. You have a niece, nephew, or child or grandchild around the house, right? They'll hang upside down and backwards off of everything. We've got to try and encourage and teach this to return. And it's okay if it doesn't come immediately. Exhale, bring the arms down, straighten the left leg, turn your left toes in. It's that backward flexing action, really great. That even applies in stuff like triangle. So I'm going to ask you to turn around. So if you use a block for Utthita Trikonasana, grab it. Stand nice and wide on your mat. I'm going to have Tristan turn around because this is an emphasize on the backside. Turn your right toes out, turn your left toes in. So to free up the mid and lower back, it has to happen from here, from the upper thoracic. And this is where it's going to get weird because you would think, well, my low back has to be mobile for my upper back to be mobile. No, it's categorically untrue. Once we lose the mobility of the upper back, the shoulder girdle and the neck, this tightens up to protect it. Very weird like that. So I'm going to have Tristan with her right toes out. Everybody turn your right toes out. Take your hands just behind your glutes, wider than your buttock, right? Just about there. Stretch the pinky and thumb down. And I want you to stretch the pinky and thumb down specifically because when you stretch with your palms back, you stretch the inner arm and get into the shoulder blades with your thumb. You stretch the chest and the outer arm with your pinky. Get it? Great. Now, keep that openness of the chest. Stretch your arms wide and long. Keep that neck long. Keep your spine long. You're already starting with a long spine. This is 2021. We're starting over, right? Shift your hips slightly, right to left. Keep your spine long. Notice how your neck wants to shorten on one side when you shift your hips. Notice how one arm lost all of its length. Pinky thumb. Lengthen out over, and then don't take one arm down and the other up, but right here under your shoulder blades, rotate your torso so the arms float down and up. Don't move your arms like a windmill. The arms stay stationary. Make your upper torso move your arms so it's a rotation of your upper back. As if I were to grab your two shoulder blades and twist you. Take your right arm down, Shuba. Keep them parallel to each other, dear. Yeah, like that. Yeah. This creates a curvature of the lower back correctly. Flex your right thigh. The leg should still be strong. And flex your right buttock and move the top of your buttock towards the bottom of your buttock. Here's how you know if you lost it. Your arm that's in the air, your left arm, bring it alongside your body. Turn your palm to face behind you, slightly behind your buttock. Stretch the arm away from your neck. Stretch the pinky and thumb away from the hand. And then float it back up and feel the difference, one side versus the other. What happened to the right side? Totally went lax. So you've lost half your spine. Don't just let your body weight hang on that right side. That right side is active. So just for a moment, strong right leg, ready for hard. Take your right hand back behind you, turn your palm out, stay in the pose, stretch the arm away from your neck, stretch the finger thumb. When you feel you've got to stretch the chest, stretch the arm down. So your hand's a balancing point on the floor, not straight. So it's an opening here. It's not how much you twisted your arms on your way down or up. This is a tricky thing to get. Bring your bodies up, bring your right toes in, left toes out. And there's the reason for this is there's a fear of balance and things like that. For years, I still do catch myself when I do triangle. I'll let my arm come down, my hand hits the block, and then I'll float the other arm up. The extensionary action and the rotating the torso in such a way that the arms stay in a straight line, what we'll try and do again, or a parallel line, is very challenging because it asks us to move the deepest muscles here in our shoulder blade and create spine mobility in the mid to upper back. So Tristan's already there. She's turned her left toes out, her palms back behind her. She's stretching her thumb and pinky away from each other. So the tricep is strong, the shoulder blades are strong, the neck is lifted. She's lifting her spine from her neck up because the neck is part of the spine. She floats the arms out. All of you move your arms out, but keep that openness. Look, she shifts her left hip to the right. All of you shift to your right. And before you start to stretch out, notice how one arm is staying way up in the air already, and you've already lost the line. Don't make us get sticks of truth out from your brooms. And then extend And then take the hand down. Let your upper torso guide the limbs to their place. This develops an immense amount of strength and core muscle to do. And this is a core pose too. It takes a lot of core strength to help the spine extend like that. Flex your left buttock, move the top of your buttock to the bottom of your buttock. So it's as if I were to grip the top of your glute near your piriformis and pull it down towards the bottom glute, right to that connection of the hamstring. Just on that leg. Now do it. There. Take your right arm, lay it alongside your body, turn the palm back, stretch the pinky thumb, open up across that right shoulder, lift it up so it's better engaged, so you know what you're looking for next time. Left hand, stay your spine in the pose. If your legs are working, your core is working, you can hold it. Lift your left hand up, palm back, pinky and thumb spread out. Then, once it's open, float it down so it's a balance point, but it's very active. The activeness of the arms does not become passive. It makes you work harder, but it also opens the ability of your upper back to move. Strong legs. Your fingers can touch the floor or the block or whatever. Just don't let that shoulder and arm lose its power. Don't let it crunch. Lift the body up. Turn the left toes in, bring the arms down. If putting your knees on the ground hurts them, it's okay to grab a blanket or some other kind of padding for this next part. Come down onto your knees. Turn on your knees. Stretch your right leg out to the right. Yeah, catty corner. It's not going to be straight out. The human hip's not like designed for that. Left knee stays above left hip, or left hip stays above left knee, excuse me. Right leg is stretched out to the side. It is not perfectly in line with your hip. It is slightly forward, not by much. The right toes are not pointing forward, nor are they perfectly out to the side. They're at a diagonal. So kind of in that middle space. Let's see if I can get an angle on Tristan's. There you go. Looks good. Hands just back behind. Palms spread open, fingers spread open, shoulders away from the neck, neck lifting, not just the face. This is not the neck. The neck is back here. The spine is back here. Lift from the base of the neck up. Then stretch the arms out wide. Keep that openness. Shift your right hip like triangle back and to the left. Work your chest. Stretch your ribs out over. Keep the parallelness of the arms. Keep the openness of your chest. Because if one shoulder climbs up to your neck, you've already gripped up this side of your shoulder and body. You won't get mobility there. Stretch those arms wide. Keep the shoulders away from the neck. Once you've reached out over your right leg as far as you can, take your right hand onto the right foot or ankle. Keep the parallel line. Push down through your left knee, down through your left foot. Start here. Just reach that right arm. Not past the foot, but keep it on the foot, because the full pose is your hand grabbing your other wrist and it's on the foot. It's not. But even if your right hand doesn't touch the foot, you can place your hand on your shin. And if that's hard, you can even put a block next to the inside of your calf to put your hand on. Give some level of balance. Now, notice for a lot of us, it's the body has leaned forward. That is correct, because this is about lateral extension from a strong leg. This gets very deep to the groin into the back. It's called swinging gait. Named because apparently it looks like the hinges gates swing on, according to the older teachers. Take your left hand down, keep the shoulder from crunching into your neck, reach the left hand for the right wrist in that area. You can grab your forearm, your wrist, whatever. Start there. That left hip stays back above your left knee. Flex the right thigh, keep your leg strong. Here's where a twist happens. The action of the twist comes from the ability not to lift your head neck up, but to rotate your spine. This is where we start testing the upper thoracic and back muscles' ability to move. The head comes down towards the shin. Your elbows go wide and above the head. And then you roll your left ribs towards the ceiling while still holding your right arm. Tristan's doing pretty good. If at any point you're looking at this like, I can't do that, you only go as far as that you can without falling out. Because if you go so far and then you hit that point of, I can't do this, then my teacher would say, I don't know what you're practicing, but it's not yoga. At one point, the responsibility of the student is to go, I can go no further. This is for me. That others going further or capability does not diminish mine. I'm happy in my place. Bring your body up. Don't worry, we're going to do it a couple times. And then we're going to do some other poses to help this because there's some back to hip connection we're defining and working on. Switch your legs, right knee down, left knee out. Right hip above right knee, left leg long. Turn your toes out. So just as I said, and I could have said it earlier, if there's a point as I'm teaching this in stages, it's not because I don't think any of you are capable of going deeper quickly. It's that gives you a chance to go to a level where you find something you can work at and just work at it. If you're going halfway through and you find a weird twinge and you know you could go deeper, but you got something to work out, stay there. It's not the teacher's job to push you way, way farther. The teacher's job is to guide you so you can learn something about you. Palms back. Stretch the thumbs away from the palms, pinky away from the palms. Lift from the spot, lift the spine. The neck is part of the spine. Stretch the arms wide. Left leg strong, not locked knee, but strong quad. Keep the parallel action of the arms as best you can. Stretch out over the left leg. Don't let your shoulders come up into your neck. Let your shoulders open up from the chest. Once you've gone far enough, take your left hand down to your foot, ankle-ish area. Start there and just work that. Already feel how shoulders want to come into the neck and you want to lose the length of your spine from the back. Lengthen the spine from the neck, lengthening it, from the legs pushing down so the lower spine can lift towards the neck can lengthen out. Strong legs, not locked joints. Take your right hand down towards left hand. Any distance it can get. You could grab the bicep and be like, this is just where I am. I feel the twist, I feel the work. Bless you, that is your place. So I promise you, the teacher that's modeling or not modeling may or may not go farther. I don't do this pose as well as Tristan. My back does not allow it. My spine just hurts. Doesn't stop me from doing it though, or understanding how it goes and where it goes. Left leg strong, bend your elbows wide. Even if you're, not going any further, just start the action of opening the upper back and notice how much your shoulders want to roll to your neck when that happens. Don't make your arms work by crunching your spine down. Keep the spine long. The neck out. Those of you that are still with it, roll the right ribs towards the ceiling. The right hand holding on to the left somewhere strong. It's a very good pose. This is very rarely taught in a way that gives you the accessibility to feel the work of the lateral upper body. Exhale, up you go. What?
On the right, is very uncomfortable on my toes.
Because you're not flexing your thigh, you're locking your knee. Okay. Have a seat on the floor. Grab a blanket or a pillow of some kind. I wouldn't get a bolster, they're very thick, but if you have nothing else, that'll be okay. Have a seat on the floor. Stretch both legs out in front of you, Dandasana. So in Dandasana, We're not going to stay here long, but just a moment to kind of get the action here. Flex your thighs. Push your Achilles tendon down into the ground. Fingertips on the floor. Lift your spine up. Legs are long. May not be straight, but they're long. You might not feel the stretch of the hamstring. But what I want you to feel is which side of your body is pressing harder into the floor than the other. That side will be the side that you tend to be, well, I don't want to say for sure, but looser on. The side that's lifted is usually the tighter side. So just be aware of that side that's pressing harder into the floor. And if you can't define which one that is, either because A, you've practiced so much that is not true anymore. I've done this 20 years almost. I haven't found that spot. Or B, you can't feel it yet. It'll come up because you'll need that blanket to help rebalance that out. Because to get to the upper back, to create lateral bend, the pelvis must work from a balanced point. We're going to go back to that previous pose, swinging gait, after we do some hip to lower back extension and lateral movement to see if we can get better supplements. Spine nice and lifted, still in Dandasana, stay with it. It is the suffering of all students to stay in the pose while the teacher pontificates. Take your right hand to your inner right knee, grab a hold of the knee and pull the foot towards your groin. Do not touch your right foot to your left thigh. Pull your right knee back so your right heel comes towards your inner right thigh. It does not touch your left thigh at all. There's a separation, and the right foot is pointed. So the right foot is like this, not like this. Lock your knee up. Your left foot is pointed. Take your right fingers just back behind you near your right buttock. Lift the spine up. Take your left arm behind you. Way high, you thought it was going to the foot. Wait for it. Spread your pinky and thumb away from each other, even though your fingers might touch the floor. Spread that pinky thumb away and stretch the thumb away from the palm. Stretch the inner arm away from the neck. Stretch the outer arm away from the neck. Open the chest up. Level the back to lift. Then, once you've got the chest open, the neck spine is long, right? Take your left arm out. Reach for your left big toe. If you can't reach the foot, use a strap. So now you've begun to move the body laterally. Did you stop flexing your left thigh? Probably. Flex your right thigh, not to push your right knee down, but push the top of your right foot towards the floor as hard as you can. And then feel what hip, left to right, is pressing harder into the floor than the other. For most of us, it's going to be that left hip because you're leaning towards the left. So pause for a second, or that could be wrong. I don't know. But whatever hip is pressing hardest into the floor, don't completely come out of the pose with your legs, but let go of the foot with your left hand. Lift your body up. Take a corner of a blanket or a pillow, something fairly firm, and put it under the corner of the hip that is pressing hardest into the floor. Let me give this. Just under that sit bone. Fingers back behind you. Once you got that in place, lift. Give everyone a couple seconds to figure out which of their glutes presses harder into the floor, which bone, which side is depressed now. Don't lean forward. Spine up. Leaning the spine forward and saying you're lifting your spine up is just kind of like putting all your body weight into your groin. Flex that left thigh, push that left down. Tristan's already having hip cramps, so she's so excited. Point the left foot, point the right foot. Push the top of the right foot down. Spread the thumb and pinky away from the hand. Stretch the inner shoulder, outer arm, all the way down through those fingers. Lift the neck up, stretch the arms out. Right hand can stay on the floor, but left hand reaches out for the left big toe. That right hand is still stretching those fingers away from your neck. Stretching that shoulder away from your neck. You're still flexing that left thigh. And even though your left hand has a hold of your big toe or the yoga strap, push your foot against that strap or hand like it's going to drag your shoulder out of the socket. Take your right hand just for a moment back behind you, taking the back of your right hand to your sacral plate and slide it towards the left thigh as best you can. But that doesn't mean that the action of broadness and length of the spine changes just because your shoulders are doing different. Because here's where you start, I think, is a great place to start learning how to turn the head and change neck pain. If you lean your head down towards your left arm and then turn your head, you're turning one side of your neck that is shorter than the other. Everybody look toward the same direction your chest is pointing and try to lift each side of your neck, not the front, but the back from the spine, long. Feel how your spine is turning already. If you think about your spine is already rotating to the right. Lengthen your whole spine, especially from the low to the mid in that twist, and then turn your neck. But try not to let your head go towards one arm or the other. And then lean it back slightly. You will feel your neck muscles work, but that is good. Take a few breaths. Oh, hi, Pratima. Didn't see you sneak in. Hi, dear. Happy New Year. Stay in the pose. Don't wave. Take your right arm out. Don't come out of the pose. Just take your right arm out of the pose. Turn your head to look at your left foot. Reach your right hand around, grab the foot. So Janu Sirsasana, there's a lot to this pose that is really interesting, the two different rotations of it. So whether your right hand grabs the strap or grabs the big toe, whatever it is, that's fine. But your legs are still working the exact same way. Point your left foot, press your left thigh down. Press the top of your right foot hard into the floor. Up. Shoulders wide. So bend your elbows slightly. Stretch your spine long, not by pulling it down, but by stretching your neck out towards your foot. But notice the twist is mostly now happening in the upper back. The lower back is kind of chilled. And that's okay, because this is a deep lateral stretch and extension of that right side. So that's twisting internally. That's the Bharadvajasana action of the twist towards the inner thigh. So take a breath. In any degree, you can move your left abdomen towards your inner left thigh, not from your neck, not from your shoulders, but twist your core. Then lengthen your spine. Because the fun part becomes, can we rotate the opposite way to the Marcharasana action, go away from the inner thigh? A few more breaths. Take your left elbow, straighten both arms so your spine's lifted. Bend your right elbow, turn it up towards the ceiling. Hold on to that big toe. Lengthen the spine. Already notice how much one side's starting to shorten, one side of your back. Keep them both long. Take a breath, strong legs. Move the left abdominal away from your left leg first. Bend the right elbow up to the ceiling, because you have to make enough clearance space one day to rotate your spine through that. And if this is easy, rotate that armpit, Pratima. Grab that right big toe, Pratima, or that left big toe, Pratima, and pull it towards the ceiling, like you're going to pull the toe off the foot with that arm. Woo! Push your right foot down, take the breath. And for those of you that want more, your left arm goes onto the inside of the left leg and grabs the arch of your left foot as the right arm pulls up. Flex your left thigh, unflex your left buttock, Flex your right thigh more. And then stretch your neck as long and your spine long. Take a breath, exhale, up you go. Stretch your right leg out to match your left. Back to Dandasana. Right. Dandasana, both legs straight, fingertips on the floor next to your hips. Feel the difference one side to the other. Maybe one hip presses into the floor differently. And you may ask, Dustin, why did I have to put the blanket under my hip if I'm really mobile that way? Because by supporting the side that's pressing down hardest into the floor and lifting it slightly, you're giving the other side permission to relax and drop. It will start to release your back a lot better, especially if you have back pain or tension from like standing a lot, or if you wake up with your hurt back. It's because the tilt of the pelvis is really off and it's overly flattened the spine. It can be very painful. So little adjustments like that can make a big difference. Take your left hand to your inner left knee, pull the knee back. So tonight we've only just adjusted the hips and we've sat here and just rotated the spine, stretched it laterally, rotated, stretched it long, rotated, backward, bend it, rotated. We're just doing as many of the directional movements with the spine and then rotating it as much as we can to try and create that, but not from the lower back. Remember, your lower spine can only go like 10 degrees. Everything else has to learn to happen from here up, and that requires the neck, the broadness of your upper back, not just your strength. All right, left heel is touching your inner left thigh. Your left foot does not touch your inner right thigh. Whatever foot, we're going to just skip the first reach around. Whatever hip is pressing hardest into the floor. And don't second guess yourself. If you feel it, go with it. Don't sit there and try to justify it or, question it. There's no one there to ask. So put that corner of that support under that hip. If you even think, well, maybe I do, just do it anyway. This will be one time you practice with the prop. You can try it, and then it may not be necessary for you, but you might teach somebody one day that does. Good. Point your right foot, point your left foot. The point of the foot, especially on the left foot, is very active. To engage the length of that shin and the calf to press the foot hard into the ground. Take the fingers back behind you, arms back behind you that can touch the floor or not. Spread the thumb and pinky away from the palm. Stretch the thumb, pinky away from the palm. Stretch the inner forearm, outer forearm to the pinky thumb. Stretch the inner arm, outer arm towards the pinky thumb also, same time. So there's openness here. There's a change of the musculature in the collarbone into your neck. Keep that muscular change, because if you get into these lateral poses and you crunch in, might as well just cut circulation off to your head. Cut your head off. Take the arms out. Rotate slightly. Left hand stays just down behind you, but reach your arm out. Right hand grabs that big toe or strap. Hook the big toe with your hand or the strap around your foot comfortably. Already notice how the head wants to do the work. Lift the spine from the skull up. The neck is part of it. Ask it to be strong like your low back is. Don't lean forward towards the groin. Lean back into your butt. So your legs have to work harder to keep you lifted. Take your left hand behind you as far as you can, and then bend your left elbow, taking the hand around towards the top of your right thigh. You may not touch, but you're stretching those fingers. You're stretching that pinky and thumb that way. And really actively, even if you can touch your fingers to the top, like the mobile ones, stretch that pinky thumb towards that point. So you have to engage the inner and outer arm to do it. You're not just jamming your shoulder and your neck muscles to do it, but you're asking the whole tendon, muscular structure of your arm to move. So here's the lateral action. Lean back. Your groin is tight, your body's going to want to lean forward. Your back is tight, you're going to want to lean forward. Lean back. Right, backward bend, twist. We're just moving the spine that direction all night. 2 more breaths. Push your left foot down into the floor. Take your left arm out, reach around so your left hand's going towards the right foot. So as you're reaching for the foot, let your right elbow be straight, bend your left elbow slightly. And already notice if you're starting to shorten in the neck, lengthen the spine. Rotate the right abdominal, lift it, take a breath, suck it up a little bit, and twist it around a little bit more, not from your neck. But go from that abdominal wall. I like to take my right hand, hook my finger, my middle finger, my belly button, pull it and drag it to help get some of the mass to move. My chocolate pouch has always been pronounced, but now after post-COVID, I've got more like chocolate duffel bag in here. You just gotta move it sometimes. It's okay. It's your body. So you're rotating the spine around. So as you bend the left elbow slightly, pulling that elbow wide, so you rotate that upper back. So from your right hip all the way up through your left wrist. And just try not to turn your neck. Go long with your neck. And then push your feet down. Make your legs do more work. A few more deep breaths. The reverse action, the right arm stays straight. Bend your left elbow. Bend your left elbow more than you start twisting your neck. The more you bend that left elbow, pulling on that big toe, like you're trying to pull it off the foot up towards the ceiling. And by doing so, by bending the elbow, actually have to flex that arm, create the flexion of that muscle set, because that's what starts to drag the upper body. Not just you twisting it, but by bending that elbow and pulling, you're using the fulcrum of your own arm and shoulder to drag that lateral body. Push your foot down. The more you push your left foot down, the top of your left foot into the floor, the more you're going to open the hips. Lean back with your body. Don't lean forward. This isn't get your chest to the floor day. This is eventually get your chest to the ceiling day. And then wherever you are in this pose, if you want more, you can move your right hand to the inside of the foot and grab a hold. And then really bend those elbows and pull the twist. Whatever stage you were at, work with it. All of it is effective. Micah, grab the outside of your right foot with your right hand and work on the bend of your left elbow more. There you go. Try to get the tip of that elbow to point towards the ceiling. Try to bend your left elbow. And I'm particularly emphasizing the bend of the elbow because it's not about you pulling your spine down with a straight arm. That would be your neck doing it. I'm emphasizing the bend of the elbows so all of you start to use your upper backs more to help to rotate your spine. All that back muscle you all got, even if you think you're weak, trust me, you're all strong. It's gonna get used for something. Tristan's looking at me like, get me out of this pose, dude. All right, exhale and twist, up you go. Come on to your knees. Let's revisit swinging gait. Both knees on the floor. Stretch your right leg out. Whatever it takes to keep your right leg strong, I would prefer that to keeping this knee straight. Remember how I've said before, there's no such thing as a straight joint. So don't allow this knee to go straight if you can't keep this thigh flexed. I don't care if you do this pose with your knee slightly bent like that the whole time. More important to keep the stability of the foot on the floor and that thigh strong, because if you lock your knee, it will drop all the weight into your Achilles tendon and cause a lot of pain. Here's the mistake. Hands slightly back behind you, palms facing backwards. Spread the thumb and pinky away from the palm. Stretch the arm in concordance with that. The inner arm stretches to the thumb. The outer arm stretches to the thumb. So you get through that openness of the neck. And this is with the palms facing back. Left hand can stay where it is. No, I lied. It cannot. Stretch both arms out wide. Shift your hips. Right hip shifts to left and back slightly. And then reach out to whatever degree. And your hand can land on a block or your foot in that area. Don't turn your head yet. The head does not actually look down in this. The head should look up, and it can look down for balance, but don't allow the head to look down, because then the tendency is just to shorten that right side, right? We just worked to lean that over. Lean back slightly. So your glutes have to work. So your left hamstring has to work. Lean back. And keep your body back like that. Take your left hand down to the right, whether it's the right arm, right, whatever. And even if your left hand's only grabbing your right bicep, tricep, or your right wrist, or whatnot, start to bend that elbow like you're trying to pull that, and feel that left shoulder open. Keep it away from your neck, but keep it open. And then when you want to twist, pull that left elbow up to the ceiling, not to pull your chest down, but to start pulling up, because eventually your chest will come down when it is time to fully rotate. But you start that twist from here. You start that twist from that arm moving to open the lateral back. Don't crunch down and then twist and go, oh, no space here. No. The lift of the arm is all that is what moves your body into the pose. Good. Exhale, come on up. Right foot in place, left foot out. Good job. We'll get onto it. Okay. The tendency is, and I get it, is to try and draw yourself down and then into the twist really hard, to like really push yourself into a fold and then rotate. And that's where we're going to lose a lot of our mobility, because if we're already pushing our spine into a maximum, it loses a lot of that mobility stuff. And what can happen is when you're at a maximum fold and then try to twist, it can grind something really tight. Like your back will grip to protect it. I've had lots of back spasms in twisting, are not good. The left leg out long, even if the knee is bent, great. Foot flat, palm back, spread the fingers, thumbs away. Arms out. Keep that openness, keep that length of the neck. You feel the sternomastoids, all that open. Keep them. Stretch out over the left leg, shifting your left hip to the right. Hand down. Lean back. Right hand comes down towards the left side. The right hand grabs some part of the left arm or wrist. They don't lay hand on hand. Eventually, you want your right hand just to grab your left wrist with that index finger thumb, while the left hand, index finger thumb, grabs your left ankle. These two grip points. Start with your left arm straight, bend your right elbow. The more you bend your right elbow, then the left elbow can follow it. Make your right elbow the dominant arm doing the work. Then, after it's bent even the tiniest bit, pull that elbow up towards the ceiling. Try not to pull your chest forward, back, but rotate that arm by pulling on something with that right hand up. So you get this extension action down through the spine. Feel that, huh? And breathe. If you let your arm strength be a part of the work, you will find your core and back muscles do a lot to help move it. You're asking a part that you may not think works well, your arms or your back, to work with your core. You're teaching all three of these parts to work in tandem. Huh? Take a nice breath, bring the body up. Lay on your back if you want to, if you have the wall space and it feels good for you to do Viparita Karani, waterfall pose. Laying on your back with your legs up something, whether it's on a chair, a couch, or straight up the wall. Do so now. If laying on your back causes any tension to the lower lumbar, it's okay to put something underneath it, a blanket, bolster, or whatnot. But even here, listen carefully. Laying on your back, lay your palms flat on the floor. Slide your hands away from you towards whatever you're laying next to, like not out wide, but like you're trying to slide your hands past your buttock towards the wall behind you. Take a nice breath. Spread your pinky and thumb away from the palm. Stretch the inner arm towards the thumb. Stretch the outer arm towards the thumb. Then notice the length curve of your neck. Take a nice deep breath. And on your exhale, lift your chest slightly and draw your shoulder blades under, and then relax your arms. Keep that curve of your neck. It'll stay there better on its own. This will start training your shoulder blades to not push up into your neck, but to lay level so your neck can have a natural curve over time. This is worth practicing more in your own Savasana. But let your eyes close, friends. And take a breath in. Breathe to the upper lobes of the lung, the space that you stretched and moved. And remember, it's not just how much the breath rises in the front of your chest, but can you let your breath be noticed, acknowledged, and felt through the backside of your body? So that when you take a breath in, the lifting of your chest is not just because your breath is pushing against gravity. Oh no. It's because your lungs are pressing your back into the floor and it's lifting, like a low tide lifting a ship, or high tide. When you exhale, it sinks down. Remember, as I've said before, work with your poses, work with your practice on what support you already have. Instead of your breath pushing your lungs up, let your breath expand the lungs and extend them so one side presses down into the earth so the other side lifts up. No different than picking a leg up in a yoga pose. Find stability in that breath, smoothness in it, because the breath rolls along the lungs, along the floor, and all the space that helps to generate. And rest for the next few minutes and enjoy the fruits of your yogic practice.